video, we're going to teach you how to make Chardonnay the way that we make Chardonnay. I'm Greg.
I'm Julie, and we're the Crafty Winers. Let's make Chardonnay.
So, we have our nature-blessed white grape Chardonnay juice concentrate. It's a 32-ounce container. A little funky when we took it out of the fridge. It was like all separated, but it was nothing a couple shakes wouldn't fix. We got this off of Amazon. We'll put a link in the description so that you can find it. Per our prior videos, if you haven't watched them, we want to start every batch with a batch label. Ta-da! A batch label, which Julie, with her better handwriting, is going to start.
I don't know that it's going to be that good.
So we're going to probably call this the March 2024 Chardonnay. I don't expect that we'll make more than one this month, most likely. And this would be batch number 28.
28. Okay.
And we can go ahead and put today's date to start, but we aren't going to know anything for a minute. I just want to get this label started so that it's sitting here and we don't forget. So, first thing to do is to get our concentrate into our sanitized 1 gallon carboy. Everything that you see here is sanitized. If you haven't watched our sanitization video, you probably should, unless you're a pro.
Which I'm sure some of you are. We'll link that video to sanitization in here as well for you.
This is quite similar to pouring molasses. Looked it up
Yeah, it is.
It's cold, so it's thick. So we aren't going to make you sit here for this. Magic of editing. I also went and put some warm water. I actually only got about a third of this out and put some warm water in there to make it pour faster. And then went back and put more warm water, shook it up to get all of that concentrate out, and we poured it in. Got most of it out of the funnel.
Yep.
So now I'm going to add water till we get up to about the halfway point. And we use Kirkland purified water for most of our wines. Try to use very little tap water. Our tap water has chlorine, and chlorine is not friendly with wine ingredients. Dog's toy. Actually, they have toys that have water bottles in them.
They do. You put an empty water bottle on them and they crinkle. They love that.
So I'm going to stop about right here and shake this up real good so that it's all very well incorporated using my sanitized solid Bung.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is make a note up here next to the batch number of what kind of concentrate we've used on this, and this is Nature Blessed.
We frequently
Chardonnay.
use two different. We use Williams Brewing concentrate as well. So, important feature, depending on how good this can comes out, or if we don't like it as much, we'll know. From on our batch notes, maybe why it didn't come out as good.
Yep.
So we add some things to our wine. Some people don't, and that's fine. We do, and hopefully that's fine. We're gonna add.
We'll find out.
We're gonna add some bentonite. We're gonna add some fermento and some wine tannin and some pectic enzyme. They all have different functions. Bentonite and pectic enzyme help clarify the wine. This is basically bentonite is a clay. Pectic enzyme is actually extracted from fruit, so it's perfectly safe. Fermento is a yeast nutrient. It's basically nitrogen. It's optional too, but it gives a better chance to the yeast to do well.
And then we've got our wine tannins here, which also are optional. Some people use tea as well to do that, but we got the wine tannins, and we're going to use that. So we're going to go ahead and measure this stuff out.
Half teaspoon of everything except for the bentonite, and that will be less. It'll be a quarter.
So we've got our half teaspoon.
And we're putting all of this into a little mixing bowl with some warmish water. This makes it a lot easier to get it well mixed. We'll mix it here, then we'll move it into here and mix it again.
So I'll go ahead and do the peptic
Where's
enzyme.
She magically has a whisk in her hand. How did that happen?
So I'm gonna mix that up
But
a
we
little
also
bit there.
need-
I'm getting
Okay.
to that. I'm gonna mix one at a time.
Wow, you're patient.
No, not really. Okay, so I'm gonna add another half teaspoon of the peptic enzyme and level that off there. Put that in. Okay.
And then a quarter teaspoon of bentonite. This is a clay, and particles will stick to them and sink to the bottom.
And then we've got our
Tomato
fermento.
is a
Another
half.
half teaspoon.
You said that like tomato.
I like tomatoes.
You could probably use a tomato too if you wanted to.
For fermento,
Yeah.
I don't think we
I
should.
don't know that it would do the same thing, but you probably could do it.
That's next. We're gonna have a recipe on how to make tomato wine. That should be fun.
It's been done.
Put that all in
And
there.
then she's gonna stir this up real good. We won't make you sit through that.
Okay.
It's
I've
mixed.
got that all mixed up.
So that just means that I don't have to shake it as much.
You still have to
because
shake
I
it.
still have to shake it.
So
One of
we're-
my favorite parts.
So we're gonna.
So when we move up to 6.5 gallon carboys and we start doing videos on that, I'm not going to be shaking them anymore.
No, that's
But
gonna be your
The 1
weightlifting
gallons,
routine.
the 1 gallons do let you shake them. So
No, he's gonna be shaking this.
no, I have a power tool for that.
He just doesn't want to lift weights. I get it. All right. So I'm gonna pour that in there, just like that, and then we're gonna use some water to swish this around and get the rest of the particles out of there. We don't want to waste anything. That clay likes to go to the bottom.
Yeah, not all of the bentonite comes out most of the time,
Okay.
but it's good.
Oops. There.
So now we're going to add water till we get maybe 3/4 of the way up to the gallon mark that we etched onto here. And if you haven't seen that video, there it is. You can go see why and how we etched gallon marks. The why is easy. We need to know where 1 gallon is because our recipe says we fill this up. Ultimately, we fill this up with water to the 1 gallon mark. We're not going that far right now, however, because we may have to add sugar to this and we need to have room to do that. So I'm gonna go to maybe about there. I think I'll be safe to still get my sugar in if I need to add it. So I've added the water and I shook it up real well. We're about 3/4 of the way, so I do have some space there if I need to add some sugar.
There's a good chance we will.
Good chance we will. Then we're going to go ahead and fill this up to the gallon mark with water. Probably means more water. This makes it, obviously, by adding water, we're making it so that there is the particle density is a little bit less. So our specific gravity is going to be changing. We'll add this water right to the black lines, trying to take into account the amount of foam that's in there. That foam is liquid, some of it. It is going to turn back into liquid, so you just want to kind of guesstimate. That's a lot of
A
foam.
lot of foam.
This has nothing to do with fermentation at this point because we have not put yeast in there. This is just oxygen.
Just wait till it starts fermenting.
It's because I'm such a good shaker-upper.
Shaker-upper. I don't think that's a real word.
I'm guessing that that's going to be really close when this foam
When
settles.
that settles, it will be.
And if not, I'll top it off and you'll never know because we're not going to make you sit here, but we're going to let this foam dissipate a little bit. We'll be right back. Okay, so I've shaken it. Julie has sterilized our equipment again so that we can go on to the next step, which is we're going to check the pH level. So we have 1.086.
Okay, 1.086. Got it.
So that is not our IG because we're going to add sugar to it before we can get to our IG. So I'm going to use a calculator. So we want to go to 1.11. That's 14.5% alcohol or so. If all of the sugar is fermented in that alcohol. From that, I'm going to subtract 1.086 to give us 0.024 specific gravity that we want to gain. Half pound of sugar, basically, according to the handy dandy chart that we posted in our specific gravity hydrometer video that you can go download. So we need to add. We're going to add a half pound of sugar. We'll prepare that and be right back. Okay, so we added half a pound of sugar. This is what we were trying to not have to do. We had to remove some of our juice to make the sugar fit, which is why we took a specific gravity prior, but we did something wrong, so we're gonna move on. Homebrew is not a perfect art all the time, and we're tired. So let's do our specific gravity again. And hopefully we're a lot closer to the 1.1. And honestly, at this point, if we're not, we're probably gonna move on. 1.095.
Okay.
So it's
That's pretty close.
about 1.095 if the foam wasn't there. And at this point, I'm not patient enough to wait for the foam to go away. So we're just gonna call that really close to 1.1 target. So we could add more sugar, but Julie says that she's good with 13%, and that's what the potential is for where we're at. So we're good.
I think that's good for a Chardonnay. So I wrote down that
So that's the IG, the initial gravity.
our IG is 1.095.
And we're just a teensy bit overfilled by the time I put this back in there. Maybe a little more than a teensy. But it'll work. Some of it's going to blow out the blowout tube. And the last step is for us to put our yeast in. And we are using Fresco cider yeast. I will have a link to this. There's only one place I was able to find this. thebeveragepeople.com. I will link it below, but I couldn't find this on Amazon or any other place. So this is, from what I've heard, a good yeast. It's the first time that we've tried it. So we will find out.
Say a teaspoon?
We're going to do a teaspoon. That's, I think that's going to be sufficient. Maybe even a little bit much for 1 gallon. That's, you know what? I'm not going to fill it all the way up. That looks like a lot more yeast than I was picturing. So again, we weren't told the quantity. As yeast quantities, like 1 packet of the Levin yeast that we use for red wines is enough to do up to 5 gallons. So that's probably about what, a quarter?
That's about a half teaspoon.
Maybe a half teaspoon?
Yeah.
Let's go with that. That looks good.
Okay.
So she's just sprinkling that on top. It's on top of the foam right now, but the foam is going to go away. I think that's good for tonight. So I'm going to go put a blow-off tube. Actually, I'll show you how we'll show you how to do a blow-off tube real quick. And then this is going to go into our fermenting room, which is temperature controlled now. It stays 55 degrees. We will be doing a video on how to accomplish that because most ACs won't go down to that temperature, but 55 degrees will be a good temperature for this white to ferment. And then we use carboy heaters on the reds in the same room, set to 77 degrees. So 55 degrees is a good temperature for the room because we use it for storage too. So all of the wines are good being stored at 55 degrees, and then we can raise the temperature on the reds fermenting where we need to. So it's a good setup for a fermenting storage room. And I just realized it's a good tannic room as well.
Especially with all the alcohol in there.
So we're going to pause this for a second, and I'll show you how to do a blow-off tube because I do not have the tube. I will link with this tube. This is silicone that I usually buy. I'll link the dimensions because I don't remember them off the top of my head. Came from Amazon, but I'll link that. So the end will fit tightly into the hole on the bung, on a holed bung. May not fit everyone because different bungs have different size holes. You find that funny, don't you? I'm not saying anything about a bung hole intentionally. I was walking all the way around that. So
that's what she said.
That's what she said. So this doesn't fit real good in there, and these do blow off. So I'll use twist ties to secure this real tight to the handle. The other end of the blow-off tube is going to go into the bucket of sanitizer that we've been using all night. So this becomes an effective airlock. CO2 can come out and it bubbles through the sanitizer on the other end, but nothing goes up the tube, including no bugs or anything through that sanitizer. So you secure this real tight, use a twist tie, use a rubber band. I like the twist ties because they're metal and I know that they're not going to fall apart or break or get old and break or whatever. So that's it. We aren't going to do anything on this until tomorrow. I'll check on it. I'll make sure that hopefully we may start seeing a little bit of activity. At that temperature, this is going to be probably a couple of weeks to ferment. Every day on a white wine, I'm going to go in and gently shake it to give it a little more oxygen.
We'll keep you updated on the progress of our Chardonnay with some more videos, probably some shorts on YouTube and TikTok. So if you like this video, please click the like. Make sure you make some comments if you like specific things about it, or if you have questions, please feel free to ask them. We will answer them for you. Please subscribe to our channel. Tell it you want all of our notifications so you can see all of the wonderful recipes and things we have to come. Thank you guys for all of your time. We'll see you next time, and cheers.